1945, the last days of the war, and the Nazis know the game is up because the Russian tanks are rolling in here about an hour and a half north of Berlin. Hermann Goering is on the run, and he's taking with him whatever swag he can carry. But what he can't take is packed up into cases, and the legend goes thrown into this lake. And that is what I'm here to look for.
At the end of World War II, the Allies made a series of shocking discoveries. Hidden in trains, bunkers, and deep underground, they found mountains of stolen treasure.
That must have been like going into Aladdin's cave.
Hitler and the Nazis had looted an entire continent and committed the greatest theft in history. Now, a team of investigators is opening up cold case files of Nazi plunder still missing today.
We're talking about things that are worth tens of millions of dollars.
Robert Edsel is an expert in Nazi looted treasure.
Hundreds of thousands of objects are still missing. Well, we have a lot of digging to do.
Joining him is Second World War historian James Holland.
None of this was really his. He'd just taken it.
And investigative journalist Connor Woodman.
And this is a genuine treasure hunt. We dig a hole in the ground and we find those cases.
Their mission, uncover new clues.
Oh gosh, this is it.
Explore Nazi hideouts.
Whoever built this brick wall really didn't want anyone to get through to the other side.
Find out how the treasure was stolen and where it might be now.
What a piece of history.
The team is meeting at the headquarters of the Monuments Men Foundation, an organization that has found and returned dozens of looted Nazi treasures to their rightful owners. Foundation chief Robert Edsel briefs them on a new case.
This case involves the greatest looter of the 20th century, Nazi Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering.
Oof, one of the big boys.
Yep, he's number 2 to Hitler. He's the second most powerful man in Nazi Germany. He has enormously high IQ. He's very smart, very charming, utterly ruthless.
Hermann Goering was commander of the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. He created the Nazi secret police, the Gestapo, and issued the original order that set the Holocaust in motion. Behind the scenes, Goering was a creature of many appetites who lived the high life with unparalleled zeal.
This is a man who absolutely loved luxury. He loved all the trappings of power. He plundered and pillaged like no one else.
Including art?
Focused on art. I mean, we're not just talking about paintings. I mean, great furniture, great jewelry, sculpture, drawings.
One of the richest men in Europe, Goering began collecting art in the 1930s. Then, when the Second World War broke out and Germany invaded much of Europe, he saw an immense opportunity to expand his collection through looting.
He saw himself as this Renaissance man who had to be surrounded by these great art treasures, all these rationalizations to set up one of the great looting operations in history. And there's no doubt that works of art that Goering had in his collection, a number of these things are still missing. And we're talking about things that are worth tens of millions of dollars.
Still out there.
Still out there. And that's what we're responsible for doing, is trying to find some of those missing objects.
So if we're on the hunt for Nazi art, Hermann Goering's a good place to start.
Ground zero.
Connor Woodman is in Germany, on the trail of Hermann Goering's plunder.
I'm about an hour and a half north of Berlin on my way to Karenhall, which was Goering's country retreat and hunting lodge. It was also the centre of his looting operation. There's a guy called Jeron who describes himself as a treasure liberator, and I'm hoping he's going to be able to shine a bit of light into what happened to Goering's art at the end of the war.
Connor's here to uncover any clues pointing to the missing treasures Goering looted, 70 years after they disappeared. Karenhall is a hard place to find. The structure is long gone, and authorities discourage exposure of the site for fear it will become a neo-Nazi shrine. But Connor's meeting Jaron Savore, who knows where the last remnants of Karenhall can be found.
Jaron.
How are you doing?
Oh, good.
Careful not to slip. I've already slipped and hit my head. Is it bleeding?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, you have a little bit of a cut there.
That's a good beginning. So
You're bleeding for us. That's
Jaron has found Nazi treasure before. In 1999, he recovered 40 uncut diamonds believed stolen from Jewish victims of the Holocaust and buried in a forest in France. Now he's turned his attention to the lost treasures of Harrenhal.
I would think it's about at least another 10 or 20 meters.
Not much of Goering's country estate survives.
Look, we got something over here. That's man-made brick, some sort of construction, isn't it? Look.
Yeah, definitely. That's man-made.
That's an old part of Harrenhal.
That's a bit old part of Harrenhal.
That's what's left. When you said to me, let's meet at Harrenhal,
Yeah.
this isn't what I was expecting.
It might not look like much now, but in the early 1940s, Harrenhal reflected the immense wealth and ostentation of its owner. A vast complex of libraries, reception rooms, a spa, and even its own pack of lion cubs. But one of its main purposes was to showcase the ever-growing Hermann Goering art collection. At its peak, Harrenhal was a temple of looted treasure, home to thousands of works of art and other valuables.
Look how big it is. I'm talking about a museum.
It's vast. I mean, this painting is 12 feet high. Just the sheer volume of art on display. I mean, he has too much art.
And do you think any professional curator would do that? This is like a hoarder. This is like a child.
I mean, I heard at one point Goering had so much art he had to start displaying it on the ceiling because he ran out of wall space.
But by April 1945, the party was over. Allied forces were closing in on Nazi Germany from all sides. Goering couldn't stand the idea of Harrenhal falling into the hands of the Red Army. So he gave the order to evacuate the treasures and blow up the buildings. Most of Goering's treasures were shipped to southern Germany by train, where they were captured by American forces. But for more than 70 years, legends persist that valuables were left behind.
What do we know about what happened to all this stuff after it left here?
The stories grow constantly, and many will tell you it's still here.
Where?
Here underneath the building. No one's able to say where it is. Underneath everything, there was this huge cellar.
Like a bunker?
A real bunker. So, yes, underneath this place, there is stuff which would probably be very valuable. We don't know how much, and of course, we don't know what it is.
While Connor searches for missing treasure left behind at Harrenhal, James Holland is chasing leads to uncover how Goering was able to steal so much art and treasure in the first place. He's about to meet one of the only men still alive who actually came face to face with the Reichsmarshal himself.
Hello, Mr. Katz. It's James Holland for you.
Nathan Katz was one of Holland's leading art dealers. His son David, now 97, remembers the family's thriving business.
My father was, first of all, a leading dealer. He sold the most important pictures. My father was 17th century. That was Rembrandt, Rubens, Frans Hals, Hobbema.
Which is all the stuff that Goering and the Nazis really liked.
In the spring of 1940, the Nazis conquered Belgium, Holland, and France. The Katz family is Jewish, and that made them vulnerable. Under Nazi rule, Jewish businesses and property could be confiscated.
So you're living on the edge all the time?
Yeah.
In a state of perpetual fear?
Yeah.
Did you have to wear the yellow star?
We had. I had a large one, and on the papers you got a G. Because you were always marked as a Jew, wherever you were.
With the war still raging, Goering found the time to go shopping. And one day, out of the blue, he paid a visit to the Katz gallery.
It was in the morning, early in the morning, about 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And so I came in the room and said, hello, that's all what I said. guten Tag, you see. And that is all. My father was sitting opposite Mr. Goering, you see, and you never knew what he was to answer. He liked the painting or not, and my father was all interested that it goes well. So you were sitting, opposite you have your enemy, and then he was, in the preparing, my father was already nervous.
You could see him shaking, his hand shaking.
Yeah. To sit opposite a person like Goering, you see. My father showed him several paintings, and if my father couldn't say no, he would be taken. You had to say yes. I think my father thought he was in prison, you see what I mean? What can you do?
In 1941, the deportations began in Holland. Jews were rounded up and sent to concentration camps.
Did any of your family end up in the camps?
Yeah, oh yes. First of all, a sister of my father died in a camp. Secondly, my grandmother of the mother of my father was taken in a camp, you see.
With the entire family in danger, David's father Nathan made a deal and used his connections in the art world to procure dozens of paintings from across Europe for the Nazis, including a Rembrandt that Goering gave to his wife as a birthday present.
So you were using these paintings as a kind of bargaining chip?
One hand washed the other.
In return for the paintings, the Nazis gave the Katz family exit visas to Switzerland, and they escaped the Holocaust.
So at the evening at about around 8 o'clock, we got the permission, and then to Switzerland. Phew. You cannot believe what it means to come in a free country.
Oh, it must have been incredible.
Yeah, you cannot believe that. But that cost all paintings, you see. But what is a painting is material. A picture is a picture, but a life is a life.
What David Katz says is chilling. Hermann Goering and his underlings were trading the lives of Jews for paintings. And the Katz collection wasn't Goering's only target. The team is on the hunt for artwork looted by Field Marshal Hermann Goering, the second most powerful man in Nazi Germany.
Now we're looking for an entrance to the underground bunker, which either a bunker or a living museum, but we need an entrance.
Investigative journalist Connor Woodman has teamed up with Nazi looting expert Jaron Savore to comb the ruins of Goering's once lavish estate in search of any remaining traces of his looted treasures. Before the end of the war, Hermann Goering crammed this vast complex with mountains of treasure. Paintings by masters like Botticelli and Rembrandt, hundreds of sculptures and tapestries, collections of gold, silver, and precious gems, a hoard that would be worth billions today.
This is interesting, Jaron. What's this?
This would have been one of the chimneys.
One of the chimneys coming up from the bunker.
As you see, it's totally imploded.
Not much is left of Karen Hall because Goering ordered it blown up at the end of the war.
I mean, there's debris everywhere, isn't there, of evidence of a construction.
But Jaron believes sections of the bunker may have survived. Underground rooms that could have housed parts of Goering's looted collection.
What I know is he built Karen Hall where the two lakes meet on the spit of land between the two.
Right.
So the fact that we can see one lake over here and the other lake over there,
right.
we're in the right spot.
Exactly.
There's a little hole there.
Right.
And there's another small hole there. That's a really small hole.
I get in, I can get stuck like Winnie the Pooh, you won't be able to get me out. Plus,
So it's me then.
listen, I'm not scared of Germans, not scared of Nazis. This will kill me.
You think this goes all the way under Karen Hall?
Yes.
Right, I'm gonna keep my phone because it's got a torch on it.
Better you than me, my friend. You good?
Oh, good, okay. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it's really dark. Okay, you're gonna pass me a camera.
You go, mate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm wriggling down this hole. I've still got the ceiling pretty close to my face, and it's starting to open up a little bit. Okay, I'm in.
How big? Can you stand?
No, I can't stand, but I can crouch, maybe. I can see a huge tyre down here you're on.
Again?
A huge tyre, like a big truck tyre. I guess something used for transporting stuff, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna keep walking. I've got to the end of this tunnel, and there is a turn.
Left or right?
To the left. Let me go deeper and see what's in the bottom. Okay, so I'm turning right. It's a huge room inside here. The room is about 10 feet high. It's concrete blocks. It's all concrete, and it's very solid. There's lots of rubble on the floor. Well, I don't know, Your Honor, if what could be under there. It's maybe waist high.
Only a few wartime photos of the underground bunker survived. They show the Reichsmarshal Goering operating his elaborate model train set, complete with elevated tracks, mountain artillery, and Stuka dive bombers. It was also somewhere in this bunker that Goering kept his lion cubs.
What is this? This is like it's like a small door. I don't know what would have been kept in there. Another doorway.
James Holland has followed the trail of Goering's looting spree to Amsterdam. He's meeting historian Gerard Alders outside a building that once housed the priceless collection of one of the nation's most famous art dealers, Jacques Houdsticker.
So Gerard Goering is coming here really soon after the Dutch surrender.
Yeah, about 5 days after the Dutch surrender, he is here to have a look at the Houdsticker collection. Goering had his art spies all over Europe, so he knew what was in stock here in this gallery.
At the time of the war, the Houdsticker Gallery housed some 1,400 works of art that included masterpieces by Rembrandt, Rubens, and Hans Memling. For Goering, it was an irresistible target, even as the fate of Europe hung in the balance.
You would have thought that, you know, as Commander-in-Chief of the Luftwaffe, with a major campaign still ongoing, that he's got slightly more important things to be thinking about.
Things to do, yeah. But that's what he did all the time, actually. He always made detours to visit an art dealer or a depot where he could get his paintings. And he was very eager to get this collection. And I even have a picture here of Mr. Goering leaving the Houdsticker collection. With
it's unmistakably the same place, isn't it?
But he looks very, very satisfied, actually, knowing what is waiting for him.
Yes.
So satisfied.
Yes, he looks like the cat who's got the cream.
Yeah, absolutely.
The war was still in its early stages, yet Goering was already well on his way to building a private collection of historic proportions. Although he could simply take whatever he wanted at gunpoint, Goering often opted to pay at least a nominal fee, and sometimes more. He was obsessed with maintaining the public image of a wealthy connoisseur, and not a common thief. As the war went on, he enlisted a network of European agents to assist in finding collections to plunder. One of the most notorious was former German banker Alois Miedel.
Miedel was a German citizen who lived here in the Netherlands since 1932. He had a bank in Amsterdam. He had mines in the Dutch East Indies, and very much interested in the art business.
Miedel saw a great opportunity in the chaos of war. He coerced the Houdstickers to sell their entire estate to him for a knockdown price, threatening they would be deported and their property confiscated if they did not agree. So while Goering walked in and purchased the paintings for a ridiculously low price, Miedl in turn bought both the Houdsticker gallery and the rest of the family properties for a pittance.
Oh gosh, this is it?
Of this.
So there is a formal contract written out?
Yeah, the collection was worth about 6 million guilders at the time, and he got it in the end for 2 million, so that's a third of the price.
And what kind of pictures are we talking about here?
Cranach's.
Yes, because Cranach is Goering's favourite, isn't it?
Yes, the old master paintings he was very fond of. Altogether, it worth, I think it were about 1,300 pieces in the Goldsticker collection. He bought, I think, maybe 600 or 800.
But that still leaves Miedl with a good old load of amazing paintings.
Yes.
In today's art market, the value of the Houdsticker collection stolen by Goering and Miedl would be worth hundreds of millions.
So Goering's happy, Miedl's happy. The only ones that aren't happy is the Houdsticker family. Their entire collection and estate effectively fleeced from them.
Their collection was sold, so no, they were absolutely not happy.
And there's also an entire paper trail here. I mean, it's legitimizing something that's not really legitimate at all.
No, this kind of buying is called looting by purchase, so it absolutely stinks.
Jaron and Connor have gone underground in their search for Goering's loot. This mysterious bunker somehow survived the demolition in 1945. Could this labyrinth underneath the ruins of Goering's mansion, Carrinhall, have been used to hide some of his stolen treasures?
It's creepy, there's swastikas drawn onto the walls. A little bit on the ceiling as well, so it's obvious that people with very Nazi sensibilities have come down here before me to have a look around and leave their mark.
Connor isn't the first person in here, so if any treasures were buried in the rubble in 1945, they may have since been removed. But maybe the bunker didn't only serve as a hiding place for loot.
Here, there's a staircase.
Could this have been an escape route used to transport the treasures from Carrinhall?
Staircase going up into the building. God, it's unbelievable. This is still here.
Oh! Oh! Can you hear me? Oh!
You're on?
Connor! Come on.
All right, I'm gonna come back out. Oh my God. Oh, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. You good?
I'm good. Hermann Göring wouldn't have got out there, would he?
Good day's work, yes? And you're clean and nice.
A good day's work, yeah.
So
I mean,
drink?
it's fascinating to see that because I thought it was all gone. So the corridor as you go down is maybe this wide.
And where were the steps?
You go through a big room first. The big room is...
Big as how big?
It's 10 meters across, maybe 15 meters
Ooh,
long.
it's huge.
It's a big room.
Huge,
and the
So it's a hall?
Yeah, it's like a hall. And then through that door, then turns left, then turns right again, then a staircase coming up.
Might be a hole. So you found the staircase into our friend Goering's hidden place. That's well done.
Is it possible that this bunker with tunnels all the way into the great halls of Carrinhall served as an escape route for treasure at the end of the war?
Second staircase goes that way.
And if so,
20, 30, 40, 50?
where did they take the missing loot? The answer may lie in a local legend about Nazi treasure lying at the bottom of a lake. James is hot on the trail of our Lois Miedl, a war profiteer who helped Hermann Göring steal millions of dollars worth of art. The connections between Miedl and the Nazis run deep.
His wife knows Goering's sister. It turns out he's stayed at the Berghof, Hitler's country house in the Bavarian Alps. And it turns out that his wife is Jewish. Now, normally this would be a massive problem, but not so in his case, because Goering has had her Aryanized. It also turns out that he hasn't just got Houseticker's collection. He's taken everything, lock, stock and barrel. Houses, estates, even a castle.
Before the war, Castle Nienrode was the Housticker family estate. But in 1940, Meadle moved in.
Gosh, this really is absolutely amazing. It might have been the middle of the war and half the Dutch population might have been starving, and yet Meadle continued to live the high life. We have an account of a party here in which champagne is being served and caviar and oysters, all handed out by turbaned Indian waiters and all served on Housesticker's own porcelain. Meadle, like Goering, was just addicted to luxury, but the point is, none of this was really his. He'd taken it from Housesticker.
The Housestickers were left with nothing after Meadle and Goering had looted their entire estate and collection. Rembrandts, Rubens, Cranachs and Memlings. A collection worth hundreds of millions today vanished. What happened to all these artworks?
We have to actually travel, I would say, in that direction.
Connor is on the hunt for priceless treasures possibly smuggled out of Goering's lavish country estate at the end of the war. Treasure hunter Jaron Savore has brought him 45 kilometers away to the shores of Lake Stolpsee. It was here in the 1980s that the East German secret police conducted a top-secret recovery operation based on reports that boxes of gold from Carinhall were dumped in the lake.
The legend was that Hermann Goering sent his treasure to be dropped in the lake. And the story is that on the 3rd of April, 1945, a truck arrived in the early evening hours.
The truck, driven by an SS officer, stopped on the shores of the lake, and 3 prisoners were ordered to load a rowing boat.
They load one of these boxes on the rubber boat and they start rowing. They get to a certain point, then he orders them to drop it into the lake, and they do it 3 times. 1 box, 2 boxes, 3. When they come back on the 3rd time, the officer kills all the 3 men.
To this day, the boxes have never been recovered.
And that's exactly 100 meters, right?
But Jaron has exact coordinates. In 2013, he did 3D sonar scans of the lake and identified 3 abnormalities in the lake bed. Connor is going to dive to find out whether these are connected to the lost boxes.
I mean, realistically, what am I looking for?
3 boxes the size of a coffin, about 2 or 3 meters in the sediment. But since the sediment is very light, it'll probably come up. If you hit the right spot, immediately. This is it, the treasure. Good luck.
Could Nazi crates survive over 7 decades on the lake bed? And if so, are they full of Hermann Goering's wartime loot? To dig up more clues about the missing artwork stolen by Goering, Robert Edsel has tracked down the heir to the Housesticker collection. In 1940, facing persecution as Jews, Jacques Housesticker and his wife Daisy abandoned their massive art collection and fled Holland with their 2-year-old son. Today, that boy's widow, Marai von Seyer, lives in Manhattan. The story of how the Housestickers escaped still haunts her.
They made the last ship, the Bodenkrat, on the way to England and then America. Refugees, it was packed. They had to turn off all the lights because they were afraid that the ship would be bombed. So Jacques decided to leave his wife and son to get some fresh air, went up on deck and fell into a hole, broke his neck and died. Daisy, of course, didn't know it for hours. She was getting frantic, and they searched and searched. So it was horrible.
Jacques Houdsticker was just 43 when he died aboard the ship. And as James learned in Amsterdam, Goering's partner in crime, Alois Miedel, took full advantage of his tragic death.
He certainly was one of the bad ones.
Tell me about what you know about him.
He sold Jacques' paintings and made a lot of money.
And he had one very frequent visitor to the gallery in Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering.
Yep. He showed up, and he sure had impeccable taste because he picked out the best paintings, and off they went.
Together, Goering and Miedel may have looted over 1,400 Houdsticker paintings. The majority have never been recovered.
And they're still out there.
Right.
Lots of them.
In fact, some 700 to 800 are still missing. So the search continues.
Absolutely.
Marai has a good idea of what is missing because Jacques kept an inventory of his collection. When his wife Daisy recovered his dead body aboard the ship, she found a little black book in his coat pocket.
I wish I could show it to you, but it's in Holland. He marked everything in there.
He had a complete list of everything?
He had pretty much everything. It's in black and white. It's right there.
Is there one work in particular that you'd like to recover more than any other?
There are a couple of Rubens out there and a Rembrandt. But you know, even the little ones that have our provenance, that have our seal, the Houdsticker seal, they have to come back.
Connor is deep in the murk of Lake Stolpsee in northern Germany, searching for 3 crates that could contain looted treasure from the Second World War.
That's him. How'd it go, man? Describe it.
It is a silt at the bottom.
Right.
What I'm doing now is, I'm pushing my hand right into the dirt, into the silt. It's to my elbow.
Right, yeah.
Below that is a layer of mud. Hard mud.
So the box would not have gone through the mud?
I would be surprised.
The results are promising. Yaron wants to investigate the site further, so he asks Connor to dive again, this time probing the lake bed with a 2-meter pole.
Thank you.
Ricardo, don't forget to put the rope on him.
If Yaron and Connor want a chance to find any boxes, establishing the depth of the mud is key. If it's deeper than Connor can probe, it means the crates may have sunk into loose silt more than 2 meters deep before coming to rest. And that will require a larger recovery operation.
So?
How did it go?
How did it go?
I am sorry, Your Honor.
Deeper?
All the way in.
All the...
You can see the crap on the bottom of the pole. Now I'm thinking, if a box has gone in there, yeah, it could have gone deeper, especially if it's heavy, if it's full of something heavy like gold, and it's a heavy box, over time it could sink and sink and sink.
I agree.
The mud is deeper than Yaron originally thought, and the zero visibility in several meters of silt makes diving impossible.
I'm sorry we didn't find anything for you today.
No, you found a major find. We now know where we should look.
Well, I'm glad this was useful.
Well, no,
It's a pleasure.
really, both the bunker and this, it's very good, fine.
Yaron now knows for certain that he needs dredging equipment to continue the search here. James Holland is on the trail of the stolen Houdsticker art and has come to inspect the black book that was discovered on Jacques Houdsticker's dead body in May 1940. It is a detailed list of over 1,100 of the 1,400 artworks he abandoned when he fled Nazi-occupied Holland with his family.
Well, this is amazing. I mean, when you see this and you just see page after page of amazing works of art from world-renowned artists, I mean, it really sort of rams it home just how extensive his collection was. Goering's absolute #1 favourite artist was Cranach the Elder, and oh my gosh, here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, over the page, 10, 11 Cranach the Elders. If you're Goering, you can just see why his tongue is literally dropping out of his mouth at this. I mean, this is just about as exciting as it gets. And the interesting thing is, this isn't just a record of Hausticker's collection. This book is really a record of theft on a grand scale by Goering and Miedel. Now, I remember that there was a missing Rembrandt. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we are. Here's Rembrandt. Here it is. 2286-2506. Heraclitus and Democritus. You know, it's sort of written down in black and white. This incredible work of art that has just been lost to the world. One of our jobs is to try and track them down and try and bring them back.
If these paintings came on the market today, they would be worth millions of dollars. Where could Goering and Miedel have stashed so many priceless treasures? In June 1944, the Allies landed on the beaches of Normandy, and the invasion of occupied Europe in the West began. For Nazi top brass like Hermann Goering, the writing was on the wall. As a safeguard against the fall of the Third Reich, intelligence reports state that Goering smuggled paintings out of Germany, once again employing his henchmen to do the dirty work.
This guy Miedel's a really bad guy, and people know it. But for all the photographs we have from World War II and the key Nazi figures, this is the only photograph anybody's been able to find of Miedel, blurry as it is. The intelligence agencies from the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, MI6, British intelligence, they're all looking for this guy. They know for a period of time he's in Spain, and they're sending reports back about his activities.
Declassified intelligence reports reveal that Miedel escaped the Allies in February of 1944 by sneaking into neutral Spain.
One report comes in reporting that he's at the Pensione Ursula Hotel in San Sebastiano. Very suspicious character, the report reads, unscrupulous. Another report notes that he crossed the frontier with 2 American cars, one of which was stolen. In Spain, he traveled between Sebastian and Madrid, staying at the Continental Hotel and also the Ritz and Gaylord in Madrid. Living the high life, this figure was.
Various secret agencies report that Miedel smuggled hundreds of stolen artworks into Spain and attempted to unload them on the black market.
These intelligence reports that are trying to describe and pinpoint how many works of art he has are indicating the degree of his operation and how complicated it is to figure it out.
This is a record of a conversation between Alois Miedel and Spanish authorities. Attempting to strike a shady deal, Miedel offered to sell 2 paintings to the Prado Museum in Madrid at a reduced price, provided he'd be allowed to take all of his other assets out of the country to sell in Switzerland.
He's got all these paintings, but he needs buyers, he needs money, he needs secrecy. And at the end of World War II, there's no better place to go than the crossroads of commerce, Switzerland.
Connor is in Switzerland, chasing Alois Miedel, hoping to uncover whether or not he stashed looted art here at the end of the war.
Thomas, hi.
He's meeting with Swiss historian Thomas Bomberger.
Do we have a sense of how many paintings were passing through Switzerland?
Well, it must have been thousands. Switzerland was certainly the most important art market in Europe during the war.
If there was a large number of paintings passing through Germany and ending up in Switzerland, where were they being stored while they were in Switzerland?
Well, certainly some of the paintings were stored in bank wards, some were stored with lawyers, some with the art dealers. I mean, after the war, the Allies suspected that the banks, some banks were hiding paintings, and they pressed with authorities to make an investigation, but it has never been done. It's possible that there are still the safe deposit boxes in banks that have not been opened for decades.
Right, so we're on the trail of Miedel and the Haussticker collection. Do we have any evidence that Miedel was doing dealings through the Swiss banks as well?
Yeah, there's a letter by Miedel in which he writes, Middle asked his lawyer to send his paintings to UBS in Zurich, a Union Bank of Switzerland, and that he would cover the expenses.
I can see it's declassified.
Yeah.
I mean, this is incredible. We've got evidence that Miedl, who we know has been in possession of these looted paintings, is writing to his lawyer. He's talking about the paintings being stored in a Swiss bank. And surely the Swiss bank have to answer questions about whether that art is still in their vaults, and if it isn't, where did it go?
Miedl's letter is a remarkable discovery, and Connor now has the actual address of the bank where Goering's art agent stored looted art. Miedl died in 1990, but in Switzerland, numbered accounts and bank lockers can survive after death.
This is 45 Bahnhofstrasse. This is the building at the address that Thomas told us about. You can see there's still a bank here now. This is where he said Miedl may have had a locker, perhaps underneath this street in the vaults. Now, we contacted the bank. I had all kinds of questions I wanted to ask them. Is the locker still there? Has it ever been opened? Reasonable kind of questions.
In the 1990s, UBS participated in the independent Bergier Commission, which investigated the possibility that art looted by the Nazis might still be locked away in Swiss banks today.
Fortunately, the bank didn't want to answer those questions on camera. Instead, they sent us a statement. They have excluded the possibility that there's any art still in their vaults. So as far as they're concerned, case closed, no more questions to answer.
The Commission failed to turn up any new cases, but it also conceded that it examined virtually no files that could provide details about the content of any locked safes. So for Connor, questions remain.
The question for me is, did Miedl possibly have a locker that's still down there? Might the art still be inside it? Or if it has been opened, where has the art gone?
We know Miedl was doing business in Switzerland. He tried to sell paintings in Zurich. And it's entirely possible that some of his loot lies hidden inside some Swiss safety deposit box or vault somewhere. But according to Swiss law, 60 years have to pass from the time of his death before officials can make that determination. And he didn't die until 1990, so that's 2050. That's a long time to wait. In fact, it's too long.
Hundreds of the Houtsticker's stolen artworks are still to be found. But recently, there was an extraordinary breakthrough, and Robert's in New York to find out more. Jacques Houtsticker's daughter-in-law, Marie von Seyer, has something new on her wall.
Well, this whole wall I call my angel wall. I love it.
These are the 4 angel paintings by Hans Memling. Hermann Goering looted them in 1940 and gave them to his wife, Emmy.
These 4 pictures were together when Goering and his wife Emma were arrested.
Yes, there were.
But they didn't all come back together, did they?
No, they did not.
2 of these paintings were returned to Marais in 2007, but the other 2 were feared lost forever until Marais received an unexpected call.
We received a phone call at an auction in Portland, Maine. These 2 were discovered, and sure enough, they were part of the Hautsticker collection, part of the 4 that disappeared. And the people that owned these 2 and brought them to the auction house returned them to us without any issue.
This is the first time all 4 paintings have been shown on camera. 4 paintings that epitomize the dramatic journey taken by so much art stolen by Goering and the Nazis.
Wow.
A remarkable moment, this picture that went through Jacques Houtsticker's gallery into the hands of Hermann Goering, number 2 man in the Nazi Party, to his wife, into the hands of American soldiers, and now, all these years later, back home.
Back home, I know, I could cry.
The investigation into Hermann Goering's looting operation has taken the team from Germany to Holland, the United States, and Switzerland. Valuable new clues have come to light, and some treasures have made their way home, but thousands still remain missing. And the men most responsible took the secrets to their graves and never faced true justice.
The wrongs which we seek to condemn and punish have been so calculated, so malignant and so devastating that civilization cannot tolerate their being ignored.
At the end of World War II, Hermann Goering was arrested and put on trial for war crimes, including the plundering of art.
The defendants to plead guilty or not guilty to the charges against Hermann Wilhelm Goering.
When the charges were read against Goering about looting of art and antiquities, he was offended. He thought of himself as this great collector. And yet, when the accusations were leveled against him for crimes against humanity, he smirked.
Goering was sentenced to death by hanging. His request for a soldier's death by firing squad was denied. Just hours before his execution, he committed suicide by ingesting cyanide.
Goering managed to cheat the hangman's noose, but not the judgment of history.
Thousands of his looted art treasures were found in caves, castles, and bunkers, but the majority of the Haudsticker collection remains missing. A 70-year cold case now has new leads.
We're working hard to pursue those leads and contribute to the recovery of these works of art and get them back to their rightful owners. The hunt continues.